Hello, this is AnlineOffline. Welcome back to another casual's quick guide to Call of Duty Mobile. For today's video, we'll be covering the Man of War. The Man of War is a fully automatic futuristic rifle from Black Ops 3. Before it was unlockable at level 52, it was locked behind supply crates when it was introduced in the second season after launch. Although not explicitly stated, given that it's a heavy, slow-firing, but high-damage infantry rifle that's been adopted worldwide, the Man of War is most likely a futuristic fully automatic variant of the FN FAL. The Fusil Automatique Léger, or FAL, is a battle rifle that's been adopted by much of NATO during the earlier half of the Cold War, earning its title as the right arm of the free world. It was the West's answer to the Soviet AKM, although the latter is technically classified as an assault rifle chambered in an intermediate cartridge, whereas the former is a full-powered battle rifle. But it wasn't always supposed to be like this. It was originally designed for the experimental intermediate 280 British cartridge, but the Americans, who made up a majority of NATO's military spending, wouldn't settle for anything less than a .3-inch caliber. And so the Americans and the British made a deal. 7.62 by 51mm would be the standard cartridge for NATO, and the Americans would adopt the FAL. Deal? No deal. Despite the promises that they made, America would adopt their native M14 rifles instead. America wasn't the only country that didn't adopt the FAL. Unlike America, West Germany was actually pleased with the FAL and requested a license to produce their own native variants. FN Herstal, a company from Belgium, a country that was invaded by Germany in both world wars, said no, and that they had to buy directly from them. West Germany, a country that's missing its other one-third, instead turned to the still fascist but now NATO-aligned Spanish for their Set-Me rifles, which took inspiration from Germany's earlier Sturmgewehr 45 prototype. This German variant of the Set-Me became known as Heckler & Koch's G3. But back to the FAL. Due to its heavier cartridge and steel makeup, it eventually had to be replaced in favor of a lighter weight rifle made from polymer and chambered in an intermediate cartridge, which allows for more sustained automatic fire and larger magazine sizes. Base damage per shot is high, killing in 3 shots up close, dropping to 4 and 5 from farther away. Its fire is very slow at 500 rounds per minute. This gives you a time to kill that's slightly faster than average up close, solid at mid-range, and slow at its maximum. Body multipliers are simple, dealing 100% base damage to the entire body. Headshots only deal 1.1 times the base damage. A single headshot will not shorten your time to kill, and thus aren't very useful. Sprint and strafing speeds are tied with the ASM-10 and Odin for the slowest in the AR class. ADS speeds are on the slower end of the AR class, but it's not the slowest. Despite the FAL being considered a heavy battle rifle, the Man of War sprint out time is near average for the air class. Most are either 150 or 170 milliseconds. Reload cancelling is not technically fast, but may feel so due to it being available just slightly before the mag is fully inserted. In terms of bloom, the Man of War is tied for the most accurate automatic weapon in the game with the LK-24. Unfortunately, the hipfire accuracy is on the worst end of the AR class. Recoil is moderately high, but since it's a slow-firing weapon with a recoil pattern that only kicks in one direction, it's fairly easy to manage. Base iron sights are usable, but not ideal for longer ranges. Given its high base accuracy, it's perfectly viable to use optics. And lastly, I've yet to talk about flinch in this series so far, but I'd like to mention that the Man of War is the second most flinch-resistant weapon in the game, only behind the LK-24. Since the Man of War was originally locked behind supply crates, most people didn't have access to it. I believe it was eventually released as a skin reward in some seasonal challenge, but there was an incentive to use it because it had nearly identical stats with the already free ASM-10. It wasn't until the release of Gunsmith and the nerfing of the HD-40 did the Man of War shine alongside the DRH and ASM-10. LMGs were ruined by the inclusion of bloom. SMG movement, as we know it today, wouldn't be up to par until the following year. and most ARs didn't have the damage to compete with them head to head. And so for much of the following 7 to 8 seasons, the 3-shot ARs competed amongst themselves. Occasionally there would be a game-breaking meta, the Akimbo perk, HVK with large caliber, and the widespread adoption of quickscoping. Since the shift to the SMG meta, weapons with faster fire rates have become more relevant because they were less punishing to mess with. The Man of War had its original magazine size reduced to 25, and had its bullet spread nerfed, but that's been fixed. So how does it fare today? I'd say it's acceptable. Does it need any balance changes? Not really, but if I had to pick, assuming current trends, the next logical step is to slightly buff the Man of War's body multipliers, either increasing the headshot multiplier to 1.2 or extending the headshot area to also include the arms and chest. This won't affect its first or second range time to kills, but it'll give it the potential to shorten its final range time to kill. And returning its base magazine back to its original 30 rounds wouldn't be out of the ordinary. But hey, that's just my opinion. This has been a Casual's Quick Guide. Feel free to suggest what weapons you want to see covered next. My name is On, and I'm off.